Let's talk a little bit about the state of player fines in professional tennis. And again, put simply, player fines are this Kafka-esque blizzard of arbitrary rulings that depend on who you are, who you know, where you come from, and not specifically what you do and what level of tennis you're playing at. And again, comparing to other sports, that's simply not how it should work. And again, everybody wants to have games that are free from issues, matches that don't have outbursts, player language. All of those things are things we can align around. But what we can't align around is a system that is completely opaque, that you have to wait and see how something shakes out, that depending on who you are and who you know, you may or may not get fined at all. You may get fined completely arbitrarily an amount that exceeds what you have made on tour that year or previous year, and then have to deal with that on your own. And having, again, an opaque process to appeal, never knowing quite for certain how something could get reduced or will it get reduced, how these processes are even heard, how these appeals are even adjudicated. And so that's a system that we want to bring clarity to, so that anybody who works, and this is a workplace issue, anybody who has a job, and think about your job, you know you have an employee code of conduct, and you know what happens if you do something against that code of conduct. And you know what happens if you violate a rule at work. But you won't get fined more than what you earned at the job. And in fact, if you were, you'd probably just say, let me find a new job. And that is yet the system that we face in professional tennis, and it is a system unlike any other in professional sports. Even more opaque is what happens with fine money. So this is over the course of years, hundreds of thousands, millions of dollars cumulatively that are taken from the players, taken from their earnings. And in other sports, that money is generally donated to charity. Now, the Grand Slams do apply fine money to youth sports programs, youth tennis programs in their areas. Yet at the tour level, we have a vague promise that some amount, unknown how much, is going to the ATP pension program. In the WTA, it's even worse. We have no idea where the fine money goes. In fact, we believe it goes to operating expenses, which includes paying people's salaries, right? And so you have a system where people may actually be incentivized to fine players more money because of where that money goes, as opposed to saying entirely, this money is going to go to charity or directly to player programs 100%. In other sports, not only does the money from fines go to charities, it often goes to charities of the player's choice. It often goes to their Players Association's foundation, where the players directly have a say in where that fine money is applied charitably. They can ensure that it is applied to their local charities and not some far off place that maybe doesn't need investment in their youth sports program, but actually their home country or hometown, and be able to apply it to charitable causes there. That's a system that should be emulated and should be brought to professional tennis. Two recent examples of player fines really spotlight many of the issues that exist in the player fine regime. And that one example is a player having been fined 6 figures, more than the entirety of his earnings over the last year on tour. Another example is a player playing a doubles match at a lower level Challenger Tour event, being fined as much as a player at a top event at the Masters 1000s level, and for the same behavior. And that, quite simply, would be the same as fining a minor league baseball player in the United States the same amount that a major league baseball player who is making tens of millions of dollars annually for the same behavior. That, quite frankly, makes no sense. So far, over the last year, the PTPA has really been gathering data on player fines, comparing to other sports, figuring out what makes sense. Again, we are committed to having a thriving sport in professional tennis. We want to have clear rules and regulations. This is not a call for anarchy. This is a call for clarity, where we can tell the players, these are the rules. You had a say in defining what these rules are. You know what happens if you violate the rules, and that there's a logical and fair process to appeal any fine that may come out of that process. And so we're committed to continuing that research and putting that information out there. And then as we go forward over the next 6 to 12 months, what we want to do is bring meaningful change to the player fine system, make that clarity part of the program. And that's, again, something that everybody should want. Everybody who is in the tennis establishment, any of the people who run the sport at the highest levels, should want clarity for their fans, for their staff, for the players, of course, and not have these issues, because we want to have the focus on the court where it should be. So players, as we try to revamp the system around player fines, the call to action for you is to stand strong, share the stories, don't suffer in silence. Tell us what you're facing. Allow us to try to help you. Let us help navigate the appellate process. We are committed. We have a staff now of many people who are all on your side, and they only work for you. And we have plenty of stories, plenty of research, plenty of data. We have relationships with everybody on the tour and at the slams. And while we can't have a magic wand and wipe the slate clean with any fine, we think we can help be able to bring more clarity to you so that when you're at work on the court playing, you don't have to worry about these issues.